Hey there guys, Daniel here, welcome back to the Motor Dan's Garage, and today we're just doing some basic maintenance on the MeanStreak. We are doing a strip and clean of the front brakes. I've got a very light squealing noise coming from my front brakes and they're light braking, so it's about time just to give them a strip clean up and that should fix the problem. I'd recommend doing this probably once a year, twice a year if you live anywhere where there's salt on the roads, like back home in the UK. I would strip and clean my brakes twice a year, and basically you're just getting all the mud and dirt and road grime off inside the actual brake caliper, cleaning up the pistons and putting a bit of brake grease on the pads. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually start with the rotor itself. Now on the MeanStreak the front brake rotors are fully floating, which what that means is the actual rotor part is not joined on to this part here. This is like a little floating collar, and basically that allows the rotor to move side to side and you maintain perfect basically contact with the brake pad at all times, and it helps to dissipate heat as well. So a lot of bigger bikes have that. On the MeanStreak it's just the front rotor that's got that, the rear rotor is a solid rotor. Now this part in here needs to spin freely, and the way you do that, the way you check that even, is just with a nut and bolt. Just get one that fits in there, and you just want to tighten that up. So just tighten that bolt up. If you just hold the wheel with your leg, and if you can see there, the actual collar there is spinning. Just a wee bit of brake cleaner in there, and make sure that it spins free. Now it's not really an issue over in New Zealand, but certainly in the UK, I was doing this twice a year and I was still getting them seized up. And how I know they were seized up is I'd have quite a bad brake shudder, almost like a warped rotor, but it was just these little collars that were seized and it wasn't allowing the rotor to move. So you just want to go around them all, make sure they're spin, spray a bit of brake clean in there. Right, now you've gone around the rotor, you just really want to just inspect the rotor itself. There is a minimum depth there, which is usually stamped on the rotor, which is 4.5mm for this one. I don't have anything to measure with here, but generally if you just run your hand over it, if you feel any sort of big lip just here or at the end here, then your rotor is getting down. This is quite smooth all the way over, so there's no need to worry on this rotor here. You can also sometimes get quite deep grooving on the actual surface there itself, which isn't really too much of an issue, as the brake pad will sort of wear its way onto that, but that's something to look out for. And especially if you fit new brake pads on a rotor that's like that, it's not going to be have full contact till it wears in. And if it is like that and you're fitting new pads, it's always worth fitting new rotors too. Right, so next we're going to jump and have a look at the actual brake pads. So with the brake pads on this bike here, we want to remove these two small Allen keys, which is just a 3mm on this bike. Now I really do not like these 6-spot Tokico calipers. They are real bad for seizing up. I had probably 4 bikes back home with these calipers on them, and the first thing I would ever do when I bought a bike was get rid of these bloody calipers, and I would buy I think it's the 4-pot Nissan ones that are I think of fire blades and such like, and they were a far superior brake caliper and I never had any issues with them seizing, but these Tokico ones always seem to seize back home in the salty on the roads. Don't have any issues here with that, so they're good enough for what I need here. Right, so you remove this sort of big spring clip here, and there is a little R clip on the inside there. It's quite hard to see with the camera, but anyway, there's a little R clip in there, and you just want to pull it out. There we go. And then this pin should just slide out my way. There we go. Now what you want to do at this stage is just get your screwdriver in there and just sort of get it in like this between the pad and the rotor and just rotate it. And just make sure that those pistons are pushing back free enough. Now you want to try and do this at the bottom and the top of the pad, so you're not actually pushing on the actual braking material itself, because you can damage that with a screwdriver. And that side is fine, and then just pull the pad out. And again down here, do the same thing. Right, so we just want to pull this last pad out. This one is a bit tight actually, this could be the squeaking noise here. And we'll have a look at the pads. So this is the brake pads here. Now they are getting down a bit, as you can see there. Minimum thickness for brake pads are around about 1mm. There's probably about 2mm there. Not much more than that anyway. And I will get probably this summer out of these, and then I will have to change them. Things to look out for is you want to make sure these screws here are clean. This just allows the brake dust to sort of escape from the brake pad, and if they're blocked up you do get a lot of squealing noises. So make sure they're clean. We want to just give these a light sand on the surface, and just all these edges here, see all that crap that's built up there. We want to clean all that up, and that's where we're going to put grease on. So we'll do that right now. And how I do that is I've just got an old belt sanding belt. You want to put it somewhere flat, and you just want to have this brake pad like so. Now you don't want to go crazy, you just want to take a light surface scrub off there, just to sort of get rid of any glazing that's there. And then you also want to just rub these end edges here. Just like that, and we'll put grease on them before we reinstall them. So that's the pads done. So we can set them to the side, and we're going to pull off the caliper next and just clean the pistons up. So take the caliper off, it's just two 8mm Allen key parts. Now you can pull the pads out with the caliper off if you want to remove the caliper to begin with. You bastard. I just like doing it. I like doing it this way. And then we want to remove the wee clamp up here just so we can move it. So if you look in here, we've got the six pistons here. Now we did check that they all move back freely when we leave it on them with the pads. We just want to get so I use an old toothbrush in here and clean all this crap off the piston here, and clean these surfaces here. I just give them a wee scrape up with a screwdriver, or even sandpaper if you can get it in there. It's just where the pads sit. So what I generally use is just some kerosene on an old toothbrush. I like the Sensodyne ones, but you can use whatever toothbrush you want. And just give it a good old clean up. Now kerosene's alright to use as long as you don't get it on your brake rotor or your brake pad material, as it is technically an oil, but it is also very good at cleaning, more so than brake cleaner in this instance. I will give it a quick rinse off with brake cleaner when we're done. Now if you did have any of the pistons that were seized, then you would have to pull the pistons actually out of the caliper and probably change the seals in there, and maybe even the pistons if they're badly corroded. I said these these typical 6-pot calipers are real bad for that. But you know, we don't have those kind of conditions over here, so it's not something I have to worry about. You can also use brake cleaner if you don't have kerosene, but brake cleaner I find dries up too quickly when you're scrubbing. I will finish off with brake cleaner here just to get rid of any of that kerosene, so there's no danger of contaminating the brakes. And then just give her a wipe down. Right, now we can put the brake caliper back on and we're just about done. If you are living in a country where there is bad corrosion, I would just put a bit of copper slip or something on these bolts here, and you don't have to go crazy tight, just and the pup will do them. One last thing I want to clean up is just the pin that goes through the pads, so just a little bit of sandpaper and some kerosene on there, and that'll clean up good. Right, at this stage I want to get grease on all the parts that need to be greased. I use just Worth brake paste. You can use copper slip if that's all you have. It will do the job. So you want to get grease basically on any contact point, so along the top edge here, the bottom edge, and then just a small smear just around where the pistons sit. That's okay. And you want to put some grease on the pin as well. Cool. Get the grease off your hands so you're not getting it on the actual brake material. And now you just want to slide the pads back in. Now they are not directional, so it doesn't matter which way they go. There we go. Slide our wee pin in. Make sure to put the hole for the R clip in the direction that you can get to it. Put our wee R clip in. And then our spring clip. Now if you did look, I would recommend putting a bit of copper slip on the wee Allen key bits here if you are living in a country where that could be an issue. Same with that R clip, just put a wee bit of copper slip on the R clip just so it doesn't seize into the pin. So these wee Allen key bits here, you just very, very light nip on them. They are tiny. There we go. Now one of the most important steps is to pump the brake lever up before you do anything. Make sure you've got a good brake lever there. Right guys, that's it. Easy as. Strip and clean front brakes on the MeanStreak. I will do the rears, which is a very similar setup. Yeah, once a year I'm going to do it, and that's just going to maintain good brake pad longevity, make sure they're wearing correctly, and make sure I've always got optimal braking performance. Like I said, if you do live in a country where there's a lot of salt on the road and you get corrosion, I'd probably do it just before winter and just after winter. That's what I did back home, and I didn't really have too many issues, but those calipers were pretty poor. Right guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all next time. See you later.